Next on Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Term or whole life insurance. Which product best suits your needs? Registered representative and investment advisor Pat Lucas is here to explain. Betty Bidwell worked as an office manager in the mental health field. Now you will find her on construction sites. We'll learn why she made the switch later in the show. Meet both of these women on this edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Sisterhood of the Second Act is brought to you by
I'm gonna be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Step out the door with confidence, ready to conquer the day. Whether you are going to the cafe down the street or headed into work, you know you will always look your best in Cabby Styles. Your stylist, Darlene Marshall, will help you pick the styles that make you sparkle. And Cabby has styles for all body types. Call Darlene at 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, and follow her on Instagram at Dapper Darlin. Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
See where a grateful nation remembers its heroes, and where Thomas Jefferson came to relax. Where small town charm is just down the road from big outdoor adventures. Find peace and quiet, as well as the sounds of family fun. Destination Bedford is located where the Piedmont Plateau meets the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Where ordinary ends, Bedford begins.
Now from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. We are talking life insurance today. Having the right insurance for your family can help them live a more stable life after the loss of a loved one. Patricia Lucas is a registered representative and investment advisor representative of, and securities and investment advisory services are offered solely by Equity Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018. Phone number 540-989-4600. National Financial Services, Inc. is independent of Equity Services, Inc. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
First, what are the top concerns most families will have upon the death of their spouse or significant other?
Well, first they want to know how much life insurance do I have? And the second thing they want to know is how long will my money last? Then they're concerned about, am I going to be able to stay in the home? Am I going to be able to keep our home? And then fourth, they want to know if their children can stay in the same schools.
Sure. So let's take a look at how to help a family member maintain or better their lifestyle after the loss of a loved one. To answer these questions, let's start with how much do I need?
Well, there are four key areas, and I want to give you a hypothetical example. We're going to look at loss of income at $50,000. We're going to look at debt at $300,000, funeral $15,000, and education $200,000. In this example, the loss of income of $50,000 is a 45-year-old who has a spouse and 2 children.
Okay.
There's a mortgage, there's a car payment, there's a credit card debt totaling $300,000. We want to allocate $15,000 for the funeral and $100,000 per child for education for a total of $200,000. So there's an immediate need of $565,000 looking at these four key areas. Let's say this person was going to work to 65. That's 50, that's 20 more years. 20 more years of loss of income will no pay raises will be 50,000 times 20 years, and that's another $1 million. So therefore, the immediate need plus the loss of income is $1,565,000 of life insurance needs to cover these 4 key areas. This would pay the funeral, the mortgage, the credit card debt. It would provide $200,000 education fund for the children and 20 years of loss of income. Now the family can have financial peace as they start to grieve for their loved one.
Thank you for that explanation. Once the decision is made to buy life insurance, what are the next questions?
There's 2 basic types of life insurance. We start with term insurance. It's designed to satisfy a temporary period or specified time. The goal is to cover a debt, like a mortgage, or provide income to raise the children if someone would die early. It's like renting your insurance. Therefore, there's no cash value, and it only pays a death benefit if it's still in force when you die.
Okay.
Secondly, we have permanent insurance, and it's designed to be long-term for life until death.
Okay.
There are different types of permanent life insurance, and most will build a cash value. They have more flexibility options with payments and the ability to have a paid-up policy.
Wow, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yes, I'd like to close with this thought. Would you consider buying a home or a car without insurance? Your value to the household is much greater asset than a home or a car. Protect your family and show them one of the greatest gifts of love with life insurance.
Thank you, Pat, for being with us today. We will have Patricia's contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com. And up next, a local woman goes from working in a counselor's office to construction sites.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
See where a grateful nation remembers its heroes, and where Thomas Jefferson came to relax. Where small town charm is just down the road from big outdoor adventures. Find peace and quiet, as well as the sounds of family fun. Destination Bedford is located where the Piedmont Plateau meets the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Where ordinary ends, Bedford begins.
I'm going to be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids said they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-654-9116, 800-654-9116, 800-654-9116. That's 800-654-9116.
There's more Sisterhood of the Second Act coming up after this. Meet Lee Kaufman. She rediscovered an old love and turned it into a second act.
I have been drawing and painting from the days I was a child and have always loved artwork. And then life happened, kids came along, work came along, there was not time to paint. So when I retired from Virginia Western Community College, I actually picked up a paintbrush again and realized just how much I loved the creative arts and being involved in those. So I took a class through the Lifelong Learning Institute up at Virginia Tech, fell in love with watercolor and have been doing watercolor ever since, expanding some into alcohol ink and acrylic pours, but primarily watercolor. Using the creative medium and the watercolor to explore different ideas and concepts that I'm passionate about. A lot of paintings that I've done have been of horses because I'm a horse person. I have 3 of my own and I care for 8. And then a lot of the paintings I've done have been of wildlife that we've seen around our farm. Raccoons, foxes, chipmunks, squirrels, things that just give us some joy in our day-to-day life.
Lee's own horses have served as an inspiration, but it's the plight of a herd on the other side of the country that inspired a painting on the Sisterhood of the Second Act set.
Okay, the painting that you've got on the set right now is titled Salt River Mustangs. Salt River is an area in northwest Arizona, southwest Colorado, where there are several fairly large herds of wild mustangs. And in recent days, months, the Bureau of Land Management has been rounding up these wild horses, and some of the older ones, some of the younger ones have been sent off to slaughter. So I wanted to try to capture the essence of the wild Mustang as much as I am capable of while we still have them to enjoy.
Animals aren't Lee's only inspiration. An act of love prompted her to paint another work you can see on the Sisterhood set.
The gift it represents an image of an older gentleman, I would have to say probably in his 70s, maybe his 80s, and he's carrying a bouquet of hand-picked wildflowers to his wife. And I like the idea that tells me you're never too old for a little bit of romance in your life, and you're never too old for love in your life. So it was a joyous painting to work on.
No matter what the subject matter, Lee hopes her work inspires the viewer to feel.
One of the things that I try to show is the emotion of the subject matter and that sense of being that you see in it. When I'm painting sailboats, I want you to feel the movement of the water and the rocking of the boat on the water. So I try to capture that emotion that you might feel from looking at the topic. When I have a creative idea hit me, it becomes a real challenge because I have to paint it. It's not a question of wanting to paint it. That subject will haunt me until I get it down on paper or canvas because it speaks to me and I hope it speaks to you. But you get that urge that says, I have to do this. I have to try to make this as moving and real as possible so that you get the same pleasure looking at it that I had creating it.
You can purchase Lee's art by going to newmoonnetwork.com/shop.
In a region known for its beautiful mountain surroundings, our vibrant arts community makes the Allegheny Highlands a more colorful place to live and visit. Our passion for the arts is endless, and it's uniquely Allegheny.
Once again from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome back to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Betty Bidwell had a career as an office manager in the mental health field And in her second act, she turned to construction. Betty joins us today to tell us how she made that jump from one field to another and what obstacles she has overcome in the process. So thank you so much for being here today. It's my pleasure. I'm very happy to have you. I love the fact that you have definitely taken a big leap when you changed careers. So I guess we're going to just start for a little bit of background and just tell us about your first act, that you are a mom and you raise children, and a little bit about that. So where did you start with? Where did you start?
Well, that involves scheduling people for office visits and clients like that. Doing secretarial jobs like filing and keeping records straight and making sure the right information was uploaded. Just normal secretarial things on that end of it.
Which still required you to be pretty accurate, probably, with a lot of your.
Oh yes, yeah, and
skills.
keep a schedule on as far as when patients are coming in and what has to be done, and making sure that if the pharmacy needed medical updates, then they got it. Things like that too, and their insurances and everything.
And how long did you work in that field?
About 12 years.
Oh, so you were there for quite a while.
Yeah,
and then,
in various jobs throughout.
Right, learning a lot. That's also a good background, isn't it, for other positions? And what made you switch industries?
The timing. The
timing
was
that
right.
sounds interesting.
Our kids were, out of college.
Okay.
And grown, and my husband has a construction company. And it was, you couldn't really find people to work.
Right.
So in our job, it's just a lot of subcontractors.
Okay.
So I was, my knowledge of the machines and the equipment and stuff to do, and kind of a natural.
It worked for you as well. So that sounds really good. So what do you do for Equity Builders of Smith Mountain Lake?
Kind of everything.
Kind of everything. Give us, because I know it's different than what you did in an office. There might be some office skills, but it sounds like a lot more.
The great part of it is each day can be different.
Wonderful. Yes.
And the pleasure and like once you get out and you start a job, whether it's clearing the lot, at the end of the day you see something.
Right.
So it gives you pride and
you can see progress and
every day you see something different progress on there. And each day is different. Some days you might be outside working, other days you're going to be inside. As we construct the home, there's different pieces that go into play there. Right. I have to make sure that the subcontractors
show up
and are there actually doing their job.
Right.
And that their insurance is in line, so that goes back to the paperwork flow.
Right.
And like the suppliers, they're on a timeline too, so if the cabinets aren't in, and then your electrician and the plumber and everybody is backed up, so everything has to flow and get on time.
So your scheduling abilities are definitely being used, I'm sure, all the time there. Yeah. Yes. And also, you said because you had some previous background with the construction industry overall, so that would be a huge benefit to the company.
Right, especially when potential customers call up, I can explain what needs to happen and what does happen, and kind of put them at ease that what you're doing
perfect.
And you're talking
exactly
about.
What they want to hear.
Yes.
So we're talking with Betty Bidwell, co-owner of Equity Builders of Smith Mountain Lake, and I just think that that's such a great thing for women to be involved in. So now you are working in the family business. Do you have any concerns about working with your husband? And you can share whatever you're comfortable with.
No, I do get fired on a daily basis. No. He's really, but we've worked together for years.
Okay.
Even before we were married, we actually worked together. But it works because he's patient, which is a good thing.
Right.
And trains a lot. So if we get a new piece of equipment or something, he wants to make sure that, I'm comfortable in using it or driving it, and how the housing, the ins and outs and everything. So we make a good team.
That sounds really good. And so maybe you could share with us for couples thinking of taking a route similar. How do you navigate the husband-wife co-worker roles? Like, does it fall naturally onto your skills?
For us, it kind of falls naturally, I guess. because we've worked together for so long and everything. But even from the things that have to happen at the house, you know, right from the get-go in the morning, you know, we all know what has to be done as far as like, you know, breakfast and then lunches get packed and all that sort of stuff.
Routines have to be followed, right? Right.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you have to well mesh together and be able to get everything so you can head out the door and get your day started.
I love that. And do you set rules or boundaries? Because that's something that people might not think of ahead of time, or just...
I don't think that we have any, you know, there was no set rules or anything like this, although I do have to say that if it's sketchy, I'm not doing it.
Right.
You know,
but he would know that.
Safety first is a high priority with us.
Very good.
But it's works for us, and it's a good fit. So
yes, and you seem to enjoy it, which is really the other thing.
We are able to take pride in it and see what you've done and accomplished, and
how grateful the people are when they get to move into a beautiful new home. I love that. Yeah. We are talking with Betty Bidwell, co-owner of Equity Builders of Smith Mountain Lake, and then let's just talk about the two different fields you've worked in. They're so totally different, but we mentioned that you brought some skills for being an office manager, and how does that help you in your day-to-day role? And do you think it gave you confidence in starting a job that was so different from what you had done, knowing there's overlap?
Yes, and the scheduling and knowing that, you know, things are always on a timely basis.
Right.
You know, so you have to have that, and making sure that, you know, like your subcontractors show up and that they're called in advance, and, you know, when it's time for the plumber to come back or the electrician, you know, everything has to fall into the like that.
Yeah, you don't want to forget something really important like scheduling an electrician.
Well, or even when, like, you know, it's time for your kitchen cabinets to be ordered.
Yes.
Or the windows, you know, especially now because things are so back ordered and delayed, you know.
Well, and I think also sometimes when you have your own business, just the paperwork itself, it can be overwhelming. It's kind of the last thing anybody wants to deal with, and so on. So I'm sure some of that office skills of all of that and keeping track of invoices, receipts, all of that, right?
Yes.
It all comes into play.
Yes. So yeah, and you know, of course, like there's timely basis on all of that sort of stuff too, you know. So you got to make time. Maybe one morning I will get to the job site later, or spend the day in the office doing, you know, checks and bills and things like that.
And that's all got to be planned.
It's got to be planned. It's got to be done too.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think when we were talking about the role that you have, it seems like you fit in very well, but we know that women in construction, it's still not all that commonplace. So what reactions have you encountered on your job sites, if any?
There's been plenty.
Have there? Oh, good.
There has. You know, and I think for the most part, you can't take offense to a guy like saying whatever, you can't do that, you can't. So you just have to have a better mindset of saying, if you plan on doing something like this, that yes, I'm going to do it. Do it to the best of my ability. And kind of be careful though when you encounter something like that. You don't want to like say, oh yes, I can do it, or whatever like that, you know.
Yes.
Just get the job done and take satisfaction that you did it. And
right. So you kind of take, if there are negative reactions or comments, you just kind of take it in stride and move on, and probably just show them that you are very capable.
Well, you got to show them that you're capable and you know what you're doing.
Yes.
So, and then let it play off from there.
That's right. Sounds great. We were talking with Betty Bidwell, co-owner of Equity Builders of Smith Mountain Lake. I think the other thing is, since you have been working in construction since 2019, is that correct?
That's when I left the office and went.
Okay. What have you learned about yourself through the process of changing careers?
It's less stressful.
Is it really?
It is. It is. I mean, there's stress, but it's more relaxed. And of course, like, you're doing various jobs each time. Like every day, I'm not, you know, doing driveways or digging the basement out or stuff like that. So there's different items that go into the whole construction business, and you get to take pride in what you've done.
I love that.
And you see that on a daily basis on it.
Yes. So, you've got such great experience here. Can you help give us advice you would have for women who want to change fields, especially if they want to try an industry that has historically been more male dominated? What would you share to these women?
Definitely go for it, especially now.
Okay.
I mean, the timing is great. There's plenty of jobs that are out there, whether you want to be an operator. And where I've had good luck is that the places that I've worked prior in the construction field, you learn things. The people have trained well and taught well, on how to do it. But in the construction field now, you could work for a supply house and bring supplies out to the job, or learn about that portion of it, or even work in an office.
And so so don't be afraid to change careers if you feel called to do it.
Do it.
Thank you so much for being here today. I love that, and I love your advice. I think that's really important for women to hear. Go for it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We will have Betty's contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com. And we will be back to wrap up the show after this.
Kathy's wardrobe provided by cabbie stylist Darlene Marshall. See the styles in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com.
In a region known for its beautiful mountain surroundings, our vibrant arts community makes the Allegheny Highlands a more colorful place to live and visit. Our passion for the arts is endless, and it's uniquely Allegheny.
You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. Well, maybe I am.
If you're buying a diamond ring for your wife, it's not cool to be cheap. If you're buying airline tickets, it's very cool to be cheap and called Trip Amigo, where you can fly anywhere in the world and save up to 75% on over 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Plus, rental cars and vacation packages. Visit family, friends, or go on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Go ahead, be cheap. We have special fares we're not allowed to publish. When you book your airline reservations with Trip Amigo, you'll spend your travel money when you get there, not by getting there. Call Trip Amigo now and mention the travel code AMIGO and save even more. Call Trip Amigo now.
800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. That's 800-772-4165.
I want to thank Pat Lucas and Betty Bidwell for joining us today. From Pat, we learned how life insurance can help the family remain stable after the loss of a loved one. And Betty taught us you can switch careers no matter what your age. I'm Kathy Heberly. Join us again next week for another edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.